welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sherry Ann.
So, today we're continuing our Hard Emotion series, and today we're focusing on disappointment. But before we get into it, we're going to start with our grounding with our Pesh. So, Sherry Ann, will you go first?
Yes, of course. Let's start with physical. Physically, I am 4.2, emotionally 4.4, spirit 4.6, hope 4.75, and my word is hopeful.
Okay, my turn. Um, Physically, I am a 4.3. Emotionally, I am a 4.6. Spiritually, I'm a 4.4. And hope is a 4.25. And my word is heavy. Okay. So, heavy, I feel like it slides right into the hard emotions. So, disappointment. Disappointment. I'm like, what's coming up for me as I think about that? Disappointment makes me feel like I automatically want to blame myself. Disappointment
Mm,
makes, and I do think that's because it's like it can be easiest to blame myself rather than project it out there. But it doesn't mean that I'm not projecting it on myself because it may very well not be whatever the event is that is disappointing to me, or causing me to feel disappointed. There's like a tightness, but almost like a facade that comes over it. Like I don't if when I'm in disappointment, I don't really let the other person know that I'm disappointed. Unless it's like a really big thing, then maybe it's more than disappointed. But in those moments when it's like a hit, it's like I'm not really considering, like I'm not letting it lash out. Like I don't want it to leach into what's here until I've collected what I need to collect to communicate it best. Ideally, obviously. Yeah. What comes up for you?
Yeah, I mean, saying that my word is hopeful in this moment, I'm having a bit of a moment with trying to connect with disappointment. So while you were talking, I was trying to think of just I'm like laying disappointment, right? Just right there in front of me and stepping into it. And what I noticed is my number one strength, positivity, is fighting it like hard. Like she's like, wait a minute, no, we're not disappointed. We don't want to feel this. We don't want to talk about it or share it or be in it. And yet I mean, you already know, not everybody knows that one of my things that I try to avoid is to feel disappointed. So not to talk about it, to get into the feeling right now is just taking a moment. So I'm going to close my eyes and just kind of step into it. And disappointed feels like, ooh, a lump in my throat. So not being able to articulate and kind of the sinking feeling that's washing down from here down to my gut, my solar plex. So it's connected to sadness
Mm-hmm.
and sadness in the fact of oh, that's the word that's coming up. It's like, oh, I don't get to have that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I have to say it out loud. I'm externally processing just to step into it, but it's
So can I?
like a letdown.
Yeah, and it feels like not so much like sadness, but like almost like a deep sorrow.
Hmm.
I think that there's some like mourning and grief that comes into it too with disappointment. I don't really think disappointment's like a direct emotion either. I do think that it is like an amalgamation of a lot of
Mm.
different emotions that are coming up because, like, if I'm thinking of an event that makes me disappointed, it tends to be something that veers me off path, right? Like, I wouldn't really say getting the news that you have cancer is leading you to disappointment, but it can be, wrapped up in there. But sometimes it's like I'm getting new information that it has an initial shock, and I feel that sinking feeling with you. Like I feel like my heart literally drops into my stomach. And depending on how, severe that change, that shift is for you, it can really hurt.
Yeah, I haven't quite gotten to the hurt place yet, but I know it's there. And I think that's the deeper part, that sadness is accessible, and then the sorrow is going to lead to the hurt. It's so being a positive person, I'm always like, right, trying with my hope, trying to stay here. And so there is the you mentioned blame, and somewhere is, as I'm sinking, is the blame, and then maybe it's like, who can I shame, right? Because now I don't want to feel that. But it's like, it's definitely the sinking feeling of, ooh, I can almost access tears here of, oh, that didn't work, or I don't get to have this. Like there's so much, being a positive person, there's so much vision of what's possible. And so I get wrapped up into that. And let's say I'm trying a new method or a new avenue to get to that vision. And then it like, no, there's this no. And it's like, it didn't work.
Mm.
I don't get to have that experience. And it's like, oh, ooh, I just felt what you said. Like myself being like, I'm bad and wrong. Like the blame of me doing something wrong so that I can't have that. And then the disappointment starts coming. This is a tough emotion to feel.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of gives me the feeling of like when you're walking down the street and everything feels normal, you're getting from point A to B, and all of a sudden you trip. How hard you trip is like obviously dependent on, like, I don't know, was there a curb? Did you just like kick a rock or something? Like there's various levels of what that trip feels like, that falling sensation that was completely unexpected, or even if it was something that was a little expected, it's that um when your heart skips a beat and not for like a fun reason. It's like the word falter really comes to mind for me, and like the loss of balance. And there's such a like suddenness to the feeling of it, even if it kind of creeps on you. Maybe you had some insight that this was going to happen. Like it's still that sudden confirmation that something's changed, and not necessarily for your benefit. That's just like, oh, okay, I have to brace myself. Mm.
Right, right. And it almost feels like there's no bottom. It's like, okay, so it's no. Oh, nobody likes no. I mean, when I say no to Riley, she goes,
And
or
Riley,
she'll cry.
no.
My granddaughter, Riley. So I mean, she has access to it right away, right? It's like, oh, I'm disappointed. I think it's probably like the antithesis of my positivity.
Mm.
It's not negativity is the opposite of positivity, but it's like disappointment
So
because it's the,
that's
go
a
ahead.
really interesting point, because something that also came to mind for me was this phrase that I definitely used to say almost as like a motto, maybe more so when I was younger, which was no expectations, no disappointments. So instead of
Mm,
activity being the antithesis, I actually think it's your futuristic. And both of these are strengths that you have in your top 10. And futuristic is the vision. Futuristic is that end goal. And so, like you were saying before, that like you have the vision, you have this expectation or desire for what this outcome is going to be. And so you really start keying into it because you can visualize it. It's so like real for you already that when that's pulled from you, ooh, that's like completely on the other side of your futuristic, like knowing what you want and feeling like the steps are there to achieve it. So when something pulls it away, it feels like someone pulled your collar back. It's so sudden.
right, right, right.
It's not like a, oh,
And
let's go this way. It's like, let's stop.
Right. And depending on how committed or married you are, I am, to that vision, is the resistance to the disappointment.
Mhm.
Because I could feel it now when you said that. It was like, okay, so I built up this vision, this future vision, and I want this. And for me on a cancer journey, it could be, I want this treatment to work. I'm all in, I'm committed, let's go. And then all of a sudden, no, it's not. Numbers are down. I'm feeling like crap. It's not working. And it's like, no, that can't be. So immediately I go into denial. It's like, no, 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 there's got to be a way. And I'm fighting and searching and wanting it so badly that it's like now I'm forcing and I'm oh, which makes denial even harder.
So two things that just came up for me. I heard your positivity in there. Um, oh, I forgot exactly what you said, but your positivity was in there. So I mean, it's not like it has to be one or the other that the disappointment is against. I think it's very likely both, especially for you and how it comes up. So I'm really excited about this one. So this is so keyed into how we say that cancer is not a battle, because we view cancer as a journey instead of a battle. And this speaks directly to that, because when we're in that battle, there's this forcefulness, there's this fighting, and there's this inevitable disappointment that comes with it. And like day to day, it's hard to handle that disappointment, you know? So when you look at cancer as a journey and you're walking with it, first of all, we know that that cancer is part of you. It is not something that's like taken over your body. It is like now, no, and it's like a different entity. No, it's a part of you, and you're walking with it through life. You're not fighting it every step of the way. But it also means that when you hit a patch, like you said, like treatment that isn't working for you, it's not like I'm losing my battle with cancer. You're not losing your battle with cancer. There are other options. And so when we choose a different perspective, our view becomes wider and it becomes more expansive, and we don't blame ourselves as though we're losing a battle. And it's the same way in which we frame, like, oh, they lost their battle with cancer. They were not ever battling cancer. It was not their fault. And we don't need to say it in that way. They lived with cancer for a really long time, or even a short time. They had cancer in their lives for a reason, and their journey was had just come to an end, but they still have impact and they still have presence while they're still here regardless of time.
Yeah, that's so important to say because I mean, I was just struggling in that moment with the word fighting, but it feels like the fight, especially when you're trying to push it away, right? I don't want to believe that this is true. I don't want to um, admit that it isn't working. Where you're over here, you're holding perspective, and I want to come back to that, but it's dealing with what is right now. Okay, so this didn't work. That doesn't mean nothing's going to work, but it feels like it in that moment because it's like, oh, I put all my eggs in that basket. And now what? And that's where perspective really comes in. It's like, okay, that was one of the eggs, not all of them. So let's look at the other options. Let's look at the other eggs. What else is here for you? And some of those eggs are attitude and how we're choosing to deal with it and see it. And now that we're talking about this, it's like disappointment is a lens. It is, yes, it is a feeling, and being in it can be hard. It is important to feel it when it's here and not push it away so that it doesn't keep hovering. Because, unprocessed emotions either hover or they get stuck. And we don't want anything sticking. And if I looked at another way, another lens, another egg in the basket, it could be not that treatment. What else?
Yeah. Oh, disappointment is it feels like a jarring one for me. And it feels like it feels like a punch and then the like radiating kind of bruise or like pain that kind of comes out of it. And there's also such a trying to be strong when we're in disappointment, regardless of how often in our lives that we've, been disappointed. It's inevitable to come up in our lives. It doesn't necessarily get easier to be with.
Mhm.
I'm like still trying, I'm like trying to be there with disappointment. It really like that heart dropping into my stomach, feeling that the heaviness, that yeah, that like deep sorrow. Like I'm just starting to like continue to feel it and like let it be here. And also think about like, okay, when that's here, what do I need?
Right? You need to just be with it.
Yeah.
And that's what we all avoid, right? Because we don't want to feel that sadness, that sorrow, that hurt. But really what I got to was it's hopelessness, because I had all my hopes into that thing, whatever it was, a future vision, an outcome, whatever it was. It's like I put my heart into that. So it's like heartbreak. It's like that's why it hurts so much. It's like my heart just got broken because I went all in. And so I'm noticing what's coming up for me is that, that's why when we ask people what they want, they go, I don't know. People are afraid to say what they want because it's a commitment if you say it out loud.
Yeah.
But it's two sides of a coin. If you don't say it, can you have it? And if you say it, what if you don't get it? And that's the disappointment part. So it's like, is it, you need both of them, because if you really want something, you need to say it out loud, knowing that y- it may not come to fruition, but you get to have a preference.
Hmm.
And it is that hopelessness when it doesn't turn out as you hoped it would, that we have to be with it. That what we have to be with.
Yeah. And to know that while that was our hope, dream, vision, expectation, it doesn't mean that we have to completely let it go or that we're completely lost. It just means that we can either try to get there another way or we just have to tweak what it is. But we can also have time to mourn and be sad for what's lost there. So when I said before that I used to say that phrase, no expectations, no disappointments, I would even say now that like, no, that is not the right perspective to hold. It's not that you shouldn't have any expectations just so that you're not disappointed. It's just dream, dream big, have that goal, that desire, that vision, and then if you become disappointed, have trust that you'll figure it out another way, but also like, okay, let's just be there. And I mean, could we imagine a world where we could just be like, get that kind of shocking news and then be like, hold on, pause. I'm processing this information. I'll say now that like there's a little bit of disappointment coming up, but you know what? I'm working through it, and I'm not trying to put that on anyone. Again, in an ideal world, for each of us, it's not easy in that moment. But like, how nice would it be to feel safe enough to be like, hold on, I'm just like, I'm getting a little flooded with disappointment right now, and I just need to like be here. It's not everything, and it doesn't mean that I'm holding anything against anyone or myself or putting blame. But let me like, it's here.
Like really feel it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to have space for that to feel it instead of being like, okay, I give you hard news. Yes, you feel disappointed. Okay, like, can we wrap this up in a bow and move on? Like, let's let it breathe first.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the disappointment of being with disappointment. If I said to anyone other than my safe container with my coach, is I'm disappointed. I know that their knee-jerk reaction would be, well, let's how can we fix this?
Hmm.
Or don't be disappointed. Let's look at another way. And they're so quick to want to fix the situation where I'm not processing the disappointment, the sadness, the hurt, the busting of a dream in the version and the way that I wanted it or envisioned it. Because I get when I pause and I take the time to really just kind of sit back, it's like, Oh, all right. Maybe it's not supposed to be happening this way. That there is actually a grander plan, that there is another way that I haven't seen yet. Or maybe I have to invent the new way. Okay, that feels daunting. And yet, hey, yay me. I can bring out creativity, one of my top values, to see it a different way. So, I mean, it's really hard for me to squelch my positivity, but when I'm truly in disappointment, I'm in hopelessness and despair. It's like, I just wanted it to look like that. Well, it's not, Sherry Ann. I just knew I can't let go of, I want it to look like that. No. Can't you hear me? I wanted, it's that stubbornness until because that's part of the process, right? Letting go and going, all right, it's not going to be like this. I'm very sad about that. I really wanted it to be XYZ and to, have it be really easy and luscious and bling, magical. Okay, it's not. It sucks. I'm mourning that. Okay, but I still want the end goal. So how do I get there now?
Yeah. And it's not necessarily no. It's not in that way.
Right,
Right. But it's so easy to also tell ourselves that they're just okay, they're just saying no. It's just the end. That's it. And so sometimes the no word is us to ourselves instead of
right.
just not in this way. So what is your takeaway, Sherry Ann?
My takeaway is there's value in realizing that it's present, that I am disappointed, but not just a cursory acknowledgement like, ooh, it's here. Let's really sit with this. Where am I feeling it in my body? What's that vibration that it's carrying? And then ultimately getting to, what do you want me to know, body? And listening, because I think that's the gateway to the next place, the next growth edge, the next discovery, the next something. But so often I go, I'm disappointed. And then I get stuck because I don't want to feel that hurt and sorrow. So then I pop myself out. So this is a great reminder to give yourself some space. That's the grace. And my Pesh is physically 4.3, emotionally 4.5, spirit 4.75, 4.8, and my word is gentle patience.
Before I say my takeaway really quick, when you were just saying your takeaway, what I really got the hit on was that while futuristic and positivity and your strengths feel like they falter when disappointment's here, they're also the solution to bring it back up. So I love how it weaves into that. It's like, no, those got bruised. It's okay. We can lean into them to help us find a new vision that, and it's your positivity. It's like, that's okay. We'll find another one. So I just thought that was so interesting. And I love that. Obviously, I love leaning into our strengths. So um, I just want to note that. And my takeaway is that, ooh, that there is so much avoidance and disappointment for me that, like, not that there's anything wrong with closing your eyes to really get there, right? But this one, it's like I really had to close my eyes to be there. And I think it's because I've been in such avoidance of that feeling and wanting to like pop myself out of it as soon as possible rather than um, let it be whatever it is. And I also have activator in my top 10, as do you. So sometimes it's like, let's do something about it now. I don't want to feel like we'll change it right now. And it lacks a lot of patience. So I think this was a really great practice in finding that and knowing where it's sitting and where what it really feels like for me so that I can make different choices when it does come up. And still without wanting to put it on anyone else. And whew, it's just not an easy one to do alone, really, ever. Okay, my Pesh. Physically, I am a 4.5. 4, emotionally a 4.6, spirits a 4.4, and hope is a 4.25, and my word is connected.
Mm,
Well, thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next week with a new episode.
yes. It's so lovely to have you and to share, these emotions that we don't often get to feel, allow ourselves to feel. We get to feel it, that we just don't allow ourselves to. And to remember that we are more powerful than we realize. And have a lovely rest of your day.